Hi, thanks, Kate. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. Yeah, so in Boiling Springs, the storm came through. We didn't have internet, we didn't have cell service. I really didn't know exactly what I was getting into, but normally around here, by the time the hurricanes get this far inland, it's just rain. So really wasn't expecting the extent of the devastation. But with all the traffic delays and all of that, and reroutes and detours, I was just in a mindset of, all right, what's next? What's next? What's next? So when I came to, literally the end of the road, it was just like, all right, what's next? I can't drive. I'm going to walk. I run marathons. I knew I was about 20 or 30 miles from home. So I can do this. Let's go. The execution was a little harder. At one point, I came across a road crew. There was a bulldozer and a backhoe, and they were zooming just back and forth across the road, clearing, trying to get the debris. It was huge piles of debris, 6, 7 feet high, spanning the road. And I was trying to get their attention so I didn't become a casualty because they weren't expecting anybody. And the bulldozer driver, he was kind of startled. He was like, "Where did you come from?" And they were kind enough to let me through. And there was another debris field blocking the road. And so I was looking for a place to go over it, and I really couldn't find it. It was all twisted and mangled. And I tried to go around it, and I dropped in it was mud, but it was like quicksand, right up to my knees. And it caused me to fall back in a sort of a seated position. I've got my cell phone light in one hand. I've got a stick in the other hand that I was going to use for self-defense if any animals came out at night. And the backhoe had started back up again, and I couldn't move. So I'm, talking to the Lord, telling him how much I need his help at this point. And I probably yelled loud enough so he could hear me over the equipment, the road equipment there. And sure enough, I was able to get my right leg out, but the mud sucked my shoe off. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to do this without shoes. So I found a place to set my cell phone down. I dug my shoe out. I was able to get out very slowly. I worked my way back to the roadway. And I found a path where I could actually crawl under a tree trunk and then through the pile and out the other side, put my shoe back on, and off I went. That was probably the worst part. Well, the wedding was beautiful. There was no power at the church, so it was candlelight service. Her friends and family came together and really pulled off a beautiful ceremony. It was very well done. And then we went to, and the reason I didn't want her to know was, I didn't want to upset my daughter on her wedding day. This is her special day. We don't need to cause any trouble and give her something else to think about. So we got to the reception. They did have power there. They had it was a restaurant. They had a nice setup for us. And they had, Daniel and Elizabeth had asked me to say a few words and say the blessing over the food. And I had something prepared, but it changed because of the moment. And I have to go back a little bit. As I was completing sort of like a second half of the walk, after I got through the real devastation, I grabbed a reflector, one of those reflectors on a stick off the side of the road. And I apologize to whoever's reflector I swiped. Reach out and I'll replace it for you. But I used it because there was a little bit of traffic on the road, the back road that I was hiking. And I wanted to make sure they saw me. So I told the story at the reception, and that's when she heard it first. And it was a lot of tears, a lot of hugs. And I presented them with the reflector,